Good evening, everyone. Let the March 2021 Brookhaven Borough Council meeting come to order. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Please remain standing. Madam Mayor, would you give us the memorials, please?
Yes. Let's take a moment for our deceased residents for the month of February 2021. Fiorindo Generosi, Michael Matero, Mary Poole, Earl Melville Jr., Edward Hughes II, and special to us, Mia Jane Vasquez. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. Mr. Wilbert, would you give us a roll call, please?
Yes, sir. Mr. Heller,
Present.
Mrs. Fuchs,
Present.
Mrs. Heller,
Present.
Mayor Leslie,
Present.
Mr. Vasquez,
Present.
Ms. Sewicki,
Present.
Mr. Pappas,
Present.
Mr. Gilroy,
Present.
Mr. Wills,
Here.
Mr. Catania,
Here.
Chief Montella,
Present.
Acting Chief Zebley,
Present.
Mrs. Boyle, is she on?
Joan is on, correct.
And Mr. Wilward.
Oh.
That concludes roll.
Thank you, sir. Mrs. Ford could not make the meeting tonight. She had a prior obligation. That takes us into the first public discussion session. Is there anyone for public discussion? Please unmute yourself if you wish to speak. One more time, is there anyone for public discussion? Please unmute yourself if you wish to speak. Hold on, we have a late joiner. I'm going to ask again after this person signs on. Give me a moment. Hold on, let me try and admit them one more time. Froze up. All right, I'm having an issue admitting them. They'll have to wait for the second public discussion. Public discussion is closed. Chief Montella, will you give us the fire company report, please, sir?
Thank you, Mr. President. Brookhaven Fire Company's February 2021 fire report. We had 1 fire incident, 22 non-fire incidents, 23 calls for mutual aid, and 4 drills. 50 calls for the month, 95 for the year. No loss on structure or contents in the borough. No firefighter injuries for the month. No civilian injuries. Our manpower was 50 calls, average 15 firefighters, 567 hours in service, 1,162 hours for the year. Training, we had 4 training sessions, average 29 firefighters, 210 hours of training logged, 392 hours of training logged for the year. Incidents in Brookhaven Borough were the following. We had a building fire at 3735 Susan Lane. We had 1 accident at Dutton Mill Road and Marianne Drive. And we also had 1 heating oil spill in the basement of 3609 Victor Avenue. Brookhaven Fire Company assisted Upland Fire Company on 2 accidents, 1 at I-95 and Curlin Street, 1 at 6th and McClintock. Assisted the Chester City Fire Department on 2nd alarm building fire at 2105 West 9th Street. Assisted the Prospect Park Fire Company on the 2nd alarm building fire at 1017 Washington Street. Our fire company monthly training was hazmat, refresher training, fastboard rescue training, CPR, AED refresher for the company, and also we had hose line deployment. Our COVID-19 update reports were submitted to council and the mayor. And our fire company and EMS personnel have all received the second round of COVID-19 vaccine shot. Our ambulance report for February 2021, we had 174 ambulance calls. 109 people were transported to the hospital. 119 of those calls were ALS dispatch, 55 were BLS dispatch. Alarms for the year for the ambulance, 361 ambulance calls. And that concludes my report, Mr. President, unless you have any questions.
Thank you, sir. I have none. Anyone from council? Chief Zebley.
Good evening, council and mayor. For the month of February, Brookhaven Police either initiated or assigned 454 CAT assignments through Delcom. We responded to one robbery where a subject.
Hold on 1 second.
You're muted. Sorry, Chief.
One burglary at the Freddy's. It was overnight commercial burglary. That has been solved and the money was recovered. Two assaults, 7 theft incidents, which included 4 retail thefts, 1 bicycle theft, and 2 other type thefts. Brookhaven Police took 2 fraud reports, 1 terroristic threat, 2 narcotics arrests, 1 public intoxication, 1 liquor law violation, it's underage drinking, 4 mental health responses, 25 suspicious conditions or persons were investigated. We handled 29 disturbances or domestic disputes that were resolved. Investigated 15 alarms. We also responded to 14 hazardous conditions or fire company calls, 21 vehicle accidents. We assisted other departments 25 times. In total, 9 adults were arrested, 27 citations were issued or filed, and 10 warnings were issued. Total loss to victims amount to approximately $4,558, and recovered amounts is $3,448. In February, there were no issues with officers in COVID. That's 2 months in a row that we had no issues as far as quarantining or illness. Officers began receiving, a lot of officers received second vaccinations, which was a little bit stronger. A couple of us were out sick for a couple of days. A stringent COVID mitigation plan and order remains in effect and will so indefinitely. More interviews for part-time police officers were conducted, and polygraphs and backgrounds began on 2 applicants. Officer Kelso, who was sworn in January, is nearing the end of the FTO program and expected to be on the schedule by the end of this month. We have portables, upgraded portables from the county. We're still waiting delivery. It sounds like it's going to be soon. I also wanted to mention there was a lot of good arrests and incidents this month, and I was very, very pleased with the output of this department. We have a job well done to Officer Tuttle. He made a drug arrest from a traffic stop where a substantial amount of marijuana was confiscated. Sounds like almost a pound of marijuana. Job well done to Officer August. He also made a drug arrest during a traffic stop. Got a search warrant on the vehicle, which yielded a hidden firearm with the serial numbers that were scratched off, and the driver of the vehicle was prohibited from possessing a firearm. He will be commended for it was a good job. Officer August also was involved in a vehicle pursuit of a stolen vehicle from another jurisdiction that was being driven by a wanted subject. Officer August made a sound decision to terminate the pursuit as the road conditions were too dangerous. The subject was later captured in another jurisdiction and the vehicle was recovered. And also excellent job by Officer Wetton and Officer Martin for saving the life of a business owner on East Brookhaven Road. Officers were prepared for duty. and were prompt in their response. And they were instrumental in the chain of survival by conducting early CPR and early defibrillation on a patient who survived this medical emergency. They found he was found in cardiac arrest, and their quick response and just having the equipment ready made a difference and saved this gentleman's life. They will also be receiving life-saving awards in a future council meeting. For training, Officer Wetton attended 8 hours of SWAT training in February. Officer Wetton also conducted training and qualifications at the firing range for on-duty weapon, shotgun, and rifle. Officer Kelso attended that training. Detective Havoc attended 24 hours of FTO school through Penn State and is now a certified field training officer for the department. In total, approximately 48 man hours of training were received by officers. And lastly, we will be scheduling photographs for the trading card program that we're going to be participating in. And that concludes my report.
Thank you, sir. Any questions from council for Chief Zebley? Mr. Wills, give us the solicitor's report, please.
Yes, thank you, Mr. President, and good evening, everyone. The March 4th Solicitor's Report is on file at the Borough Hall, and a copy was forwarded to all members of Borough Council and the mayor earlier today. I have a number of action items for Borough Council's consideration this evening, most of those items being in the form of a resolution. The first action item concerns the Arbor Developers development. The resolution is proposing the authorization of an escrow release to Arbor Developers for excess funds not expended by the borough's professional staff in reviewing the developer's subdivision plan. As Borough Council is aware, this is a 2-lot subdivision plan off of Zoar Street. It had been previously approved by Borough Council. Late last year, both the borough and the developer had entered into an escrow agreement which provides reimbursement to the borough's professional staff for review fees associated with the developer's subdivision application. An escrow agreement in the amount of $3,000 had been posted by the developer. The developer has recently requested an escrow release for funds that have not yet been expended. There is a present balance in the developer's planning escrow account of $398, and therefore this resolution would authorize the release of that $398 back to the developer. And that has been confirmed by the borough treasurer. And so if it is the pleasure of Borough Council, a motion would be in order at this time to adopt this resolution.
I'll entertain a motion.
Arbor,
I'll make the motion.
for $600.
We have a second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any questions?
Yeah, I gave you this one. Second.
Motion carries.
Second item, Mr. President, concerns the minor subdivision and reverse subdivision plan that was submitted by Mr. Biagio DeSantis, who is the registered owner of both 4830 and 4832 Greenwood Street. The applicant is proposing to relocate or adjust an existing property line separating two adjacent parcels which he owns. The current property line is located 3.85 feet from the dwelling located at 4830 Greenwood Street, which is non-compliant with the minimum zoning requirement of a 6-foot setback. And the current property line also bisects through an existing two-car garage used solely by the owners of 4830 Greenwood Street, which is also non-compliant with the minimum required zoning setback of 4 feet. And therefore, this proposed relocated property line will provide the required 6-foot minimum side yard setback for the dwelling at 4832 Greenwood Street and the required 4-foot side yard setback for the detached two-car garage. This plan has been reviewed by both the Delaware County Planning Department, our own Borough Planning Commission, and also by the engineer, Mr. Catania, as well as my office. The Borough Planning Department and the Delaware County Planning Commission have both recommended approval. And therefore, if it is Borough Council's pleasure to adopt this particular resolution, it would approve this minor subdivision lot line adjustment so that both properties are now in compliance with the zoning code. And so if it is Borough Council's pleasure, a motion would be in order to adopt this minor subdivision and reverse subdivision plan that, again, basically just relocates that existing property line so that now both properties are in full compliance with the zoning ordinance.
I'll entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion.
Seconded.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any questions? Motion carries. Thank you.
The third resolution for Borough Council's consideration authorizes a second partial escrow release for the completion of certain public improvements by Franklin Brookhaven LLC for the residents at Brookhaven Glen. Again, this is our 55 and over community that has commenced development and construction. Franklin Brookhaven has established an irrevocable letter of credit with WSFS Bank in the amount of $1,878,122.41 as security for the completion of certain public improvements associated with this land development project. Franklin Brookhaven, I should say, has recently requested a partial escrow release for the completion of certain public improvements. That escrow release is in the amount of $100,934.19. This particular escrow release has been reviewed and has been approved by the borough engineer. And therefore, if it is the pleasure of Borough Council, a motion would be in order to approve this particular resolution, authorizing, again, a second partial escrow release for public improvements associated with this land development project.
Who's taking the motion?
I'll make the motion.
Second.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Any questions? Motion carries. Thank you.
Mr. President, the next item on my agenda concerns Brookhaven Storage. Again, a new developer has taken ownership of this particular property and has filed a revised land development plans with the borough for a self-storage facility on 2.4 acres of undeveloped land on the south side of Brookhaven Road. Now, this land development plan is scheduled for review by the Brookhaven Planning Commission on March 16th. I will be present at that Planning Commission meeting, and there will also be a representative there from the Borough Engineer's Office. Now, with this particular land development plan, there are some underlying zoning issues that need to get resolved per the zoning officer's recent review letter that he issued concerning this particular project. It is my understanding, in consulting with the attorney for the developer, that he will be seeking zoning relief from the zoning hearing board. So I suspect an application will be filed shortly with the zoning hearing board concerning this particular application. Again, it is also scheduled for planning commission review, not next week, but the week after on the March 16th agenda. So I will keep Borough Council apprised as that project proceeds. The next item on my agenda concerns an authorization, or strike that, a resolution authorizing a final escrow release for the completion of certain public improvements by the Lowe's companies. As we all know, the Lowe's land development project has now been completed for the past several years. However, they did enter into a development agreement with the borough that provides effective security for the completion of public improvements associated with this particular land development project. And they had established an irrevocable letter of credit through Wells Fargo Bank in the amount of $426,079.50 as security for the completion of those public improvements. Obviously, the public improvements have now been completed for several years. This project obviously has been completed and been finalized. There is a final escrow release in the amount of $6,886 that they are now requesting. This escrow release has been reviewed and approved by the borough engineer, and therefore, if it is Borough Council's consideration, we would consider approving this particular resolution, again, authorizing the final escrow release to the Lowe's in the amount of $6,886. And again, that was through a letter of credit that they had with Wells Fargo Bank.
I'll entertain the motion.
So moved.
A second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Any opposed? Any questions? Motion carries. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. President. The final item on my agenda concerns Delcor. My office was recently contacted by representatives of Delcor regarding the borough's wastewater service agreement that it maintains with them. As Borough Council may know, Delcor provides wastewater treatment services for approximately 40 to 50% of the properties in the borough. The other properties in the borough are serviced by both the Southwest Delaware County Municipal Authority and our own sewer treatment facility. Delcor has recently entered into an asset purchase agreement with Aqua and is in the process of selling its assets to Aqua, which includes an assignment of the wastewater service agreement between the borough and Delcor. Accordingly, Delcor is requesting that Borough Council consider for adoption an amendment to the service agreement, which I had forwarded to Borough Council for their review and consideration last week. Now, this particular amendment to our wastewater service agreement with Delcor would only take effect if it is approved by the PUC and the subsequent closing of the sale to Delcor, or strike that, of the sale to Aqua takes place. If this in fact was approved by the PUC and the closing did in fact take place with Aqua, our new sewage treatment rates for customers in their service area would now be set by the PUC as opposed to Delcora. Now, I did invite several representatives this evening from Delcora in case Borough Council had any particular questions concerning this proposed amendment to the service agreement that we have with Delcora. And if we do have some representatives from Delcora, I would simply ask that they identify themselves for the record. And if they have any statements they'd like to make at this time, they are welcome to do so.
Which reps do we have from Delcora?
Good
Okay.
evening.
Okay, sorry, Bob.
I'm sorry. Bob Willard's here. I'm on the phone, but I'm driving. I'm the executive director of Delcora. Thank you, the council, for having us tonight. I'm going to let Mike DeSantis field any questions. Mike.
All right, thank you, Mr. Willard. Mike, my first question is, what does this do to rates? I'm not sure if you can answer that tonight. I did hear that the PUC would set the rates and not Aqua. Do you have any ability to forecast any negative impact to rates as far as rate increases go in the future?
The proposed transaction, if approved and closed upon, there will be no rate increase immediately. And for the foreseeable future, roughly a period that's estimated to be 8 to 11 years, the rates will be 3% fixed a year. The reason for that,
After 8 to 11 years or until 8 to 11 years? Is that
for the next 8 to 11 years, starting with 2022 being year one.
I see.
The rate increase would not exceed 3%. This is based upon that the proceeds from the sale are being put into irrevocable trust, solely being used to offset rate increases necessitated by the approximately $1 billion capital plan that Delcora has.
Do we have any idea of probably putting you on the spot here of what Delcora's average rate increase was over any period of time, previous 5 years, previous 10 years?
I can tell you the last 2 years.
Okay, that works for now.
For 2021, the rate increase was 10%. In 2020, the rate increase was 8%.
Okay. My question would be, what happens after 8 to 11 years? Does the PUC only have control for that time period, or we just can't answer that at this point, right? As far as control of the rate increases,
No,
Aqua would assume control after that period.
No, the PUC will always control the rate increase because as a regulated utility, all rate increases for Aqua are governed by the PUC. They cannot increase rates until after there's an approval. That's the same for all regulated utilities.
Oh, okay. All right, I got you.
So for the clarity here, that the PUC will control the rate increases immediately, except the difference is, as example, if Aqua requests and is approved a 7% increase, the trust fund money will make up the difference between the 3% cap and the 7% actual until the time is exhausted. The financial people that we use, they're used by a number of people in the area, they have estimated that based on market and the amount of money, that's why they gave there would be 8 to 11 years that there would be money in this fund. But that's as best as they're able to predict based on the length of time.
I see. Is there any other questions? Anyone from council have any additional questions?
Mr. President, I'd like to ask a question.
Go ahead, Mr. Gilroy.
What is the priority of having this done tonight versus after the actual sale is taking place?
Well, let me interject that I'm going to recommend that we that we table this until the May meeting, but go ahead. Answer the question if you would.
Certainly. So there's going to be two PUC meetings in March. They are scheduled for the 11th and the 25th. Following one of those meetings, if the PUC gives the approval, there will be a closing. The closing will happen in 30 to 45 days. So tabling until May, here's what the alternative is. We've had discussions with DEP regarding what is called the Act 537 plan approval for the sale. That has been sent months ago to all the municipalities in Delaware County. Those municipalities, there's some who have acted on it, have accepted it, and the ones who have rejected it, DEP is sending them letters now stating you need to come up with your sewage options, because if you're going to reject the sale and it happens, you're going to have to find somewhere else to send your sewage.
We only need more time to review, that's all.
No, I listen, I'm giving you the information that I know. Certainly it's your prerogative to do as you feel is best for your residents, and we certainly understand that. I'm just trying to give, the clarity on what the situation is. We just became aware of that. Now, what they asked us about those who haven't addressed the plan, which I'm going to be frank, is a large number of municipalities have decided to continue to table it. And now what DEP is going to be doing is they've asked us to do another reach out, and they are also going to reach out, because the last letter, which came out in December, was received by all parties in December. It basically stated you had until, I believe, the end of January, but I'm sorry, I don't remember the exact date.
Mhm.
And it said you either adopt the plan or reject it. And if you reject it, provide your sewage alternative.
Sure.
So that's why they want us to go and reach out again, and they're going to do a reach out too. So I hope that answers your question, Councilman Gilroy. That's the best I have for information.
I know it was a tough question. I appreciate it. Just trying to understand, and it seems like we got just a little in the rush here, and we're just trying to just make sure we understand what we're doing here.
Yes.
And Mr. DeSantis, we just need more time to review, that's all.
I understand, and please,
That's fine.
it's fine. It really is. Yeah.
Anyone else from council have any questions? Any of our officials have any questions? Mr. DeSantis, do you have anything else?
No, just but to thank you for taking the time to allow Bob and I to attend the meeting and to give us a few moments to talk about it. Thank you very much, and hope everybody has a safe and good evening.
Thank you, sir. You too. Thank you, Mr. Willard.
Thank you. If you have any other questions, we'd be happy to come back and answer any other questions.
Absolutely. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Mr. Catania with the engineer's report.
If I could, Mr. President, if it is the pleasure of Borough Council to simply defer this matter for a period of 60 days, I think good housekeeping that we would do that in the form of a motion.
Okay.
And this way we can certainly recircle this and review this at the May monthly meeting, and perhaps at that time, the PUC approval process will be somewhat clearer to Borough Council so that they can make an informed decision.
Is that your motion, sir?
I can't make the motion, unfortunately.
Is that the wording for the motion, I mean?
Yes, that'll be the wording, but yes.
I'll entertain that motion.
I'll make the motion.
Do I have a
Can you
second it.
repeat it? Could you repeat it for me?
Jay, repeat it for
I didn't really
Ms.
hear it.
Sawicki, please. She was busy talking.
Yes. Janice, we are going to defer taking any action on the amendment to the service plan with Delcor for a period of 60 days.
Okay.
We will recircle and review this matter again at the May monthly meeting, which we'll hope by at that period of time, the PUC will have an opportunity to have reviewed it and made a decision with regard to the asset purchase agreement between Delcor and Aqua.
Thank you, Jay.
Once again, who's taking the motion?
I'll make the motion.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? No questions, I would assume. Motion carries. Thank you. Mr. Catania, give us the engineer's report, please.
Thank you, Mr. President. Couple things that I want to mention. The road salt contract, we're in with the co-stars on that, and council needs to authorize participation in that for the next winter season, which would be the 2021-22 winter season. So we would need a motion to authorize participation in that co-stars program for next winter.
So moved.
Oh,
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Any questions? Motion carries. Thanks.
Next is just information. We received a PA small water and sewer grant for 2018, which was rehabilitation of the sanitary sewer within Brookhaven Road. We had opened that bid months ago, awarded a contract to Standard Pipe Services, and they're going to begin work on or about March 15th. That basically what it is, it's including replacement of the piece of pipe that crosses Brookhaven Road at South Gray Street and relining a couple other sections of pipe in that same vicinity. They expect that work to be, I'm going to say 2 weeks to do the work and let it sit, then come back and do the restoration. So probably like a 6 to 8 week total time between the start and the finish. DCNR park grant program. This is a state program for funding to park improvements. We had talked previously about doing some work at Sampson Park. Councilman Gilroy and I had a teleconference today with the DCNR regional advisor. The project was, I believe, was well received by her. I thought she thought it was a good project. The application is due by April 14th, and one of the items that would be required would be a resolution passed by council authorizing submission of the project. So if it's appropriate, council should consider passing that resolution authorizing an application to the DCNR program for improvements to Sampson Park, authorizing council president to execute any documents that are needed for that application, and committing to providing the required matching funds.
Do we have to add the projected project or the proposed project to that, Mr. Wills, or is that good enough? Which would be a multi-sport facility, deck hockey and basketball, and potentially one more. Should we add that to it?
Yes.
Okay. Who would like to take and this is not a monetary commitment. This is a verbal commitment.
Should we also add about the Garcia Park, the minor improvements we want to do over there, like the sign and maybe putting in a couple pieces of equipment so that it's safe over there?
Does that not have to be submitted to DCNR in a meeting, Mr. Catania?
We should discuss it. I mean, generally, you should discuss that with the regional advisor. One of the criteria for the grant application is to discuss it with her before you submit it.
So,
All right.
Mrs. Fuchs, what we could do is you can set up a meeting with them between now and the April council meeting, and we can do an additional resolution. Can we not at the April council meeting, Mr. Catania?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay.
So we have our Janice, you have a question?
I have
I
a
do.
question. How much money is this and what kind of matching? Is it 50-50? I have no idea what you're talking about with this.
It's 50-50. We talked about fundraising and some other options that we're working on to pay for the other half. This is not putting the council on the hook for any monies at this point.
It's a 200, if I remember correctly from previous.
$250,000 grant. The approximate cost of the multi-sport facility at Sampson Park would be $175,000.
Sampson Park?
Where tennis courts are.
All right, you guys have your own private meeting. We've already talked about this multiple times at multiple meetings. So therefore, there's your resolution. Who wants to take the motion? Okay, go ahead, Ms.
I have a question. So are we taking the lights off the table at this point?
The lights would have, just as with Garcia Park, would have to be discussed in a meeting with the DCNR regional managers, Mr. Catania said, so you would have to schedule a meeting with them between now and the April meeting.
Okay,
So we would submit 2 additional projects on top of the multi-sport facility to them.
I guess my comment would be, we had made repairs at that park years and years ago. And before we did, we had a meeting with all the residents. That park is surrounded by residential houses.
The resident,
talk to them.
we will be going door to door to survey every single resident that surrounds Sampson Park, I assure you. Anyone that would be impacted by this. This is not going to be a facility with one group of people playing sports all night. It will have a 30-foot high fence around it that can be locked, so the hours of play can be controlled. And any neighboring homes and residences will be pulled. It's an idea in its infancy. We discussed this multiple times again. Do you have any further questions? Yeah, we absolutely discussed it with you. You must have amnesia. Okay.
Yeah, I found out that the last meeting, it was a $250,000 project, and I have no idea.
Do you have anything else to politicize tonight?
I'm not politicizing it. I'm concerned.
I'm sorry, what I meant to say was, do you have any further questions?
No, thank you.
Okay. We have our motion to adopt the resolution. Who wants to take the motion?
I'll make the motion.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Unmute yourself, Mrs. Sawicki. No?
No.
Any further questions?
No.
Motion carries. Thank you.
No.
All right, next up, I have, we received a notice from DEP a while ago about the violations of the Chapter 94 regulations for the treatment plant. We had to submit a corrective action plan to DEP that has recently been approved by DEP, and it's time to move forward. So I'm going to ask the council to consider awarding a contract to Duke's Technologies in the amount of $42,735 to do a sewer system evaluation study of the sanitary sewer collecting system tributary to the treatment plant. And then in conjunction with that, I'm going to ask council to consider award of a contract to Gannett Fleming in the amount of $8,000 for an organic loading study of the plant itself.
This is going to be 2 different motions, Chuck.
However, the council decides to do it.
Mr. Wills, what do you prefer?
Be all done in one motion.
Okay, thank you.
Let's do it all in one motion. We have a motion. Who wants it?
I'll make the motion.
I'll second.
Good enough? All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any questions?
I don't know what it is.
Motion carries. Thank you.
All right, thank you. And finally, back to the sewage treatment plant. We have had operation and maintenance issues for a while now, particularly with pumps burning out. These are small pumps that transfer the sewage from one tank to another. Continue to have problems there, and we believe it was a ragging problem. And we know we have a solution for that by installing a mechanical screen that was started. A design has been completed for maybe a year now. Got the DEP permit for that in January. We're working forward to getting a bid package put together to correct that problem. In the interim, we're burning out pumps more frequently than desired. I'm going to ask for council to authorize the purchase of 2 replacement pumps at the cost of $1,300 each. At the same, let's go one at a time then. That would be my first request.
I'll make that motion.
Do we have a second?
I'll second.
All those in favor? Sorry, I got tongue tied.
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. Janice has me rattled tonight. Sorry.
The next item is one possibility. We believe it's clogging of the pumps that's causing the burnout. One possibility that was recently brought to the table was that we may have a power problem there. So the operator has asked for authorization to purchase a 3-phase power monitor. This is $150, so it's almost a no-brainer. But I'll ask council to authorize that.
Who's taking the motion?
I'll take the motion.
Seconded.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any questions? Motion carries.
And the final one, and then I'll stop spending your money, is
Please do.
temporary standby pump. Again, this is something we've been renting for a period of time. It's costing approximately $1,000 a month to rent this temporary standby pump. Again, recently brought to our attention that we should consider purchasing an electric standby pump. That will cost $4,000.
How long
Much
were
like
were we running at standby for it? $1,000?
I want to say we started that maybe
Too
in
long.
late last year. Yeah,
Oh,
too
okay.
long is
Right.
the answer.
It could have been worse.
Right.
No brainer,
But
no brainer,
Right.
as you said. So we're going to do
So-
that by motion. Who wants the motion?
I'll take it.
Who wants the second?
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Any questions? Motion carries. Thank you.
And that is all I have. Thank you.
Madam Mayor, with the mayor's report. Unmute yourself, Madam Mayor. You've never sounded better. There
There
you
we go. Good evening, everyone. I don't have a report. I just want to thank our officers, Wenton, Martin, August, and Tuttle for a job well done for the month of February. And that's all I have for this evening.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I need a motion to approve the February 3rd, 2021 council meeting minutes.
Make the motion.
Make a motion.
We have a second?
I'll
Second.
second.
All in favor?
Aye.
One's opposed?
Aye.
Questions? Any questions, actually? Motion carries. I need a motion to approve the February 22nd, 2021 workshop meeting minutes.
I'll make the motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any
Aye.
questions? Motion carries. We have two members I'd like to read into the Veterans Committee. I need a motion to approve Edward Mangaluzzo to the Veterans Committee.
Make the motion.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Second.
All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? No questions, I'm sure. Motion carries. I need a motion to appoint Elizabeth Finnegan to the Veterans Committee.
I'll take the motion.
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Any questions? Motion carries. Quick announcement, Mr. Sean McKenna came up with the idea to manage a hometown hero banner auto show, which I've yet to present to the Veterans Committee. I will be scheduling a Veterans Committee meeting via Zoom next week. The proposed auto show will be held at Coburn School. I got verbal authorization from the school board today. I just need to fill out a use application. It will be held on Saturday, Memorial Day weekend, with a rain date of Sunday, Memorial Day weekend. We will have food trucks and as many cars as possible. And the Delco Cruisers will be leading the charge, helping us out with this. 50% of the proceeds will help the Brookhaven Hometown Hero banner program, with the other 50% going to the Delco Cruisers. More details to come. The event will be posted once the Delco Cruisers meet next Tuesday evening to vote on this. But we are of the belief that they will approve this auto show, and they will lead the way, do most of the work, a lot of the work for us. Also, as I announced on Facebook, I'm negotiating a possible vaccination site at the municipal center. The governments all fell through on us, so I contacted the district manager at Giant Pharmacy. He is enthused about helping us out. We're not sure if we can make it happen or when we can make it happen. My thought is that the worst case scenario would be that this would be something that might begin in the fall, perhaps a post pandemic vaccination site. Best case scenario would be that we could have something hopefully within a couple of months to administer vaccines right here at the Brookhaven Municipal Center. I will give details to the public and council as they go. I have a positive feeling so far, but again, it's early in the process. And I'd like to announce, or I have to announce, that we have a executive session of council directly after tonight's council meeting. The topic is personnel. That's all I have for tonight. Ms. Sewicki.
There's something.
Yes, thank you. I do have the bill list for March. The general fund, $31,989.05. We have the sewer fund, $9,379.76. And we have the trash fund, $1,460, road maintenance fund, $13,738.17, for a grand total for March, $56,566.98. So I do want to make a motion that we approve the bills for March.
Do we have a second? Second.
Second.
All in favor? Aye.
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 Any opposed? Any questions? Motion carries. Thank you.
Okay, the only other thing I have is that Delilah would like me to announce that tomorrow we're going to be getting our liquid fuels tax fund money by electronic funds transfer, $206,671.69, which is basically our road fund money for this year. So I just wanted to announce that because she asked me to, and that's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Wiki. Mr. Gilroy.
Yes, President. I have no report tonight. Just want to did a good job tonight. Just want to give that to you report tonight.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Vasquez.
Thank you, Mr. President. For Public Works for the month of February, we had one sewer backup at 3440 Victor Ave. There are no issues on our end in the street. The homeowner was advised. Due to the weather breaking, we were able to get our sewer machine out. We had 14 sections of the sanitary sewer mains that were routinely cleaned on 7 different streets. We had 8 sections of the mains that on 4 streets that we were also able to televise. For the winter events that we had in the month of February, we had 9 vehicles out on the road. For Brookhaven, there were 11 events total, using a total of 162 tons of salt. And 62 hours of overtime were used during this month. 1,033 gallons of fuel used and 3,233 miles logged. There were 2 accidents reported with no injuries for the month of February. During the recent storms, we had gathered several hero banners that are down. They're waiting to be reinstalled. There are 24 PA1 call tickets answered. The year to date is 51. There's a damaged street sign that was repaired at East Garrison and Roberts Road, waiting on materials to get that sign back up. We have used 26 bags of cold patch so far. That's 1,325 pounds. Year to date's 41 bags at 2,100 pounds. The trash along Cambridge Island was picked up. The department conducted 12 hours of hands-on training. At the parks, the backstop at Memorial is delayed due to weather. Hopefully we can get the weather to break, and the Public Works team will assist Bill Gardner with whatever he needs for that project. Sansom Park softball sign was repaired at the entrance. Just a reminder, the first quarter chipping will start at the weeks of March 8th and 15th. If you have anything that needs to be chipped, don't hesitate. Call the Borough Hall to make an appointment. We also have 2 of our temporary employees. Tenure is going to be coming to an end. Josh Trusty and James Loftus. They started last year with us for the leaf pickup, the Christmas tree pickup, and the snow removal. So it's coming up to an end. They did a great job. They learned a lot, and they definitely made huge advancements from where they started. So we're encouraging them to possibly join us back up when we look for temporary help again in the beginning of April. We will advertise. I'll make a motion for that later on when it's time to look for temporary help again. just want to say thank you to both of them. And they really, really helped out our team. Hopefully we can see them again. Mr. Gavin, do we have anything for zoning coming up?
No, we're just awaiting the Brookhaven storage. That's
Okay.
all.
I wasn't sure if you got anything just yet.
No, I have not. I will let you
Okay.
know when I get something.
All right, thank you.
You're welcome.
So nothing for zoning that's new. And that is the end of my report.
Thank you, Mr. Vasquez. Mr. Pappas. George, unmute yourself, sir.
The
There you go.
workplace safety meeting was held on February 23rd. There were 2 employee accidents. Both were non-recordable, which means they were simple first aid treatments. All the departments are operating under the state guidelines for COVID-19 and the protections that go along with it. We also installed an additional camera at a memorial park for public safety and also property safety. The Planning Commission also still has a vacancy. Some of the requirements there would be, we're looking for somebody that should be able to read developer drawings, read and interpret any type of borough instruction codes. Any knowledge of planning process in the borough would be helpful. Basically, just any interest in improving the overall appearance of Brookhaven. And you do not have to be a civil engineer or have any type of architectural degree or any type of training along those lines. And you would apply at the on the borough's website. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Mrs. Heller.
Mr. President.
Go ahead, sir.
Mr. President, Charles Leslie, can I jump in there in front of Mrs. Heller? We have a fire alarm somewhere.
Sure, go ahead, sir.
A brief report. 2 West Brookhaven Road, the dentist office, that's still pending. That's coming up close for inspection. The Wells Fargo, they're applying for new permits for a fire alarm system at 3611 Edgemont Avenue. That has to go through Mr. Catania's office for approval. 280 Bridgewater Road, we had a broken water main in there. We had no fire water in there for about 10 hours the other day. Everybody knows the rear of 4800 Edgemont Avenue where the car went into the fence and destroyed the fence that they put up. I believe they reached out to the borough. I reached out to Vince today. They're getting real close and ready to fix that fence behind the borough property there. 4100 Edgemont Avenue, the nail salon and spa. They're almost ready for inspection. That would be the old beer distributor or with or without. And I got nothing yet from Family Promise OLC. And Papa John's is pending over there next to the Dunkin' Donuts. That's the end of my report, Mr. Heller. Thank you for letting me cut in there. I appreciate that.
Thank you, sir. Be safe.
You got it, brother.
Mrs. Heller.
Okay, I just have a quick report. The Technology Committee will be meeting on Thursday, March the 11th at 7 o'clock. This will be a Zoom meeting, not an in-person meeting. We're meeting with a rep from Text My Government. It's actually going to be a demo. It's similar to the DUCO alert system. It's a mass notification system. The rec board has a meeting on March 25th at 7 o'clock, and that's in person. Mrs. Fuchs is going to be covering the rest of the rec board. I only have that the softball and baseball are still holding registrations online. So please make sure anyone that's interested to please sign up as soon as possible. I'm working with Public Works as well as the president of both the baseball and softball on getting the snack bars spring cleaned, inspected, and ready for the season to start on time and COVID safe. The fire committee did meet on February the 11th at 6 o'clock. And that is the end of my report.
Let me add to Text My Gov. I did talk to the representative from it. The cost for that service is $3,000 to $4,000 per year. And some of you may remember we tried to get Delco Alert off the ground, but I felt that it required too much of a volunteer army. So we really couldn't get it to work. this company would do most of the work for us for $3,000 or $4,000 a year. There's no long-term contract. You have to start it with a 2-year contract. After that, you can terminate it and you go year to year, but it'll give you much of the same services as Delco Alert. So that's something you can digest until the meeting with them. I think it might be worth looking into, considering. Mrs. Fuchs.
Thank you, Mr. President. The ordinance committee will meet on Thursday, March 18th. John Woolward and I are still working on the E-code, and I was able to move some additional time from one account over to another, since it's going to take the Association of Boroughs a little bit of time to get what I want on our website for the E-code. I just don't want to throw a link out there. We want to make it look very pleasing and easy to find. So yes, the rec board did meet last Thursday, and one of the an upcoming event is the Easter tree giveaway, which will be held on April 3rd from 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. at the Coburn parking lot. This event is for Brookhaven residents only, and I believe it's 12 and under. Tom, do I have that age right? Tom?
I had to find my button. Yes, it's usually 12 and under.
Okay. And I believe we are not requiring registration.
That's what we talked about this year, just to make it easier on the office.
Okay. So I did fill out all the required paperwork with Pendelco, so we are able to use the parking lot, similar to what we did with the trunk or treat. We'll be doing that for the Easter tree giveaway. Also, the Concert in the Park series, we do have some dates established as of right now. June 20th, July 21st, August 18th, and September 25th. That's all I have for rec board. Tom, do you have anything else you want to say?
We do need to get a council approval for a alternate to the board for Virginia Mckee.
Okay.
If you can present that for us.
Sure.
The motion would be, yeah, go ahead.
No, go ahead. What were we going to say?
So the motion would be to add Virginia Mckee to the rec board as an alternate member. Who wants the motion? Would that be you,
I'll
Ms.?
make the motion.
We have a second.
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Any questions? Motion carries. Thank you. Welcome to the board. Should be a great addition.
She will be a
Yeah.
great addition.
She will be.
Anyone who's interested and willing, we're doing the bag stuffing for the Easter treat on Tuesday, the 30th at 6:30 at Borough Hall. I did contact Rob already about the fire truck, the fireman bringing a truck over for us, so we have that lined up. And Chief Zebley, are you still on? You are still on. Would it be possible to get an officer or two to come that day, the day for the Easter?
Absolutely.
Okay. It's from 11 in the morning till 1, so probably around 10:30 to get them all set up would be good.
Got it.
Thank you. And I think that was all we talked about for right now, wasn't it, Donna?
Yes, that was it. Yes.
Okay.
So I have some community news. Many people have been asking me about electronics event, and we do have one scheduled for April 10th from 9 to noon at Brookhaven Municipal Center parking lot. We also have a shred event on April 24th, again from 9 to noon in the Brookhaven Municipal Center parking lot. Let me go back to the electronics event. That is anything with a cord. So I had a few people ask me if they can bring TVs. Yes, anything with a cord you can bring to this electronics event. We also have scheduled our vaccination chip clinic, which will be held on May 18th. That will be at Borough Hall as well, but it's going to be a little bit different this year. You have to pre-register, and I will post a link. The pre-registration doesn't begin until May 1st, but you have to pre-register. You can't just show up. I think they're doing that because of COVID. They're trying to be safe. So I'll make sure that I get that link out there for those that are interested in signing up. And that's all of my report.
I thought she was scrolling.
Thank you, Ms. Fuchs. Mr. Gavin, before you go, I forgot to add that the open application period for the round 4 of the Hero Banners is going to be extended for another week till a week from tomorrow, actually, whatever date that would be, March the 12th. That was by request of several would-be applicants. And back to this proposed multi-sport facility at Sampson Park. Again, this is an idea in its infancy. We're looking at a grant to pay for half of it. And we're not looking at a lump sum payment. It is 2021. Some of us on council may disagree. You can actually finance projects in 2021 without having a negative impact or a tax hike. I believe that sports are stagnant in the borough. I know the borough is getting younger, and I know there's a demand for basketball. We've been asked about it for years, and I know there's a demand for deck hockey. We will poll as many residents as possible, not only those surrounding homes, but anyone that this would financially affect. That means any taxpayer. So I think it would be a wildly popular project. Most of the council agrees. We have been discussing this. Again, it's an idea in its infancy. We have committed not $1 to the project, but I think we need a little lift with the year we've had. And if improving our sports, which again are stagnant, we really have one sport in the borough. And we have a hell of a lot of kids. A lot of kids play basketball, a lot of kids play hockey. And if you see this facility for the price that it costs, it's absolutely fantastic. So that's that. That's all I have on that. I just wanted to clear that up. Mr. Gavin.
Thank you, Mr. President. As a report, I had 5 zoning applications for the month. 4 have been approved. The one denial is the Brookhaven storage facility, which I sent the letter to all of council to review. Other than that, I have nothing else to report.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
That brings us into the final public discussion session. Is there anyone for public discussion? Please unmute yourself if you wish to speak. Public discussion going once, going twice. Public discussion is closed. Anything from council or the officials?
Mr. President, I have something.
Go ahead, Mrs. Mayor.
Mr. Pappas, when is the next safety meeting? George?
Is frozen and muted. There you go.
There we go. I do not know right now. Actually, John Warworth usually kind of plans them.
March 30th.
March 30th,
March 30th. Okay, thank you, Janice.
And what's the time?
9 a.m.
9 a.m.
It starts
Okay.
at 9 in the morning.
Thank you. That's it.
You're welcome.
Oh, and I should add, last meeting, we discussed the possibility of in-person meetings, thanks to our governor, who increased the indoor capacity to 15%. Correct me if I'm wrong, Mr. Wills. That would allow us 12 officials in the 80-person capacity council room. It's not worth moving to the gym because of the sound issues. I don't want you to spend any more money upgrading that sound system. And we need to deliver a quality recording. See, that's why I'm gonna miss Zoom. You can't mute yourself, Miss Hillick. So you're looking at May, and even that's a guess, to go back to in-person council meetings, where I will lose my ability to mute you, Janice. So is there anyone else from council that would like to weigh in?
At the very least.
With that, I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you.
Thanks, everybody. Good night.
Good night.
Good night.